This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com.
Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday, and we have a pretty interesting deck to look at today. This is a Boros deck, but normally in Guilds of Ravnica Standard, Boros is like the most aggressive guild. You're getting wide with tokens, playing Tajiks and Aurelias and just smashing face, but this deck kind of flips that on its head. This is Boros Control for Standard, and it comes to us from Scrappy, who has taken it to not one but two 5-0 finishes in competitive Standard leagues on Magic Online. So congrats to Scrappy on a really unique deck. A quick reminder before we break down Boros Control for Standard. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Boros Control, let's start off with the threats in the deck. So as far as actually closing out the game, we don't have too many options, but the options we do have are pretty powerful. So we have Siege Gang Commander and also History of Benalia, which are one card that puts multiple cards on the battlefield. Siege Gang comes down as a 2/2, makes 3 1/1 goblins, and then we can always just throw goblins at our opponent's face to potentially kill them. History of Benalia, meanwhile, makes some tokens over the first 2 turns, eventually pumps them, is good on defense thanks to vigilance, so it's very powerful against aggro as a way to stay alive. And then, if we can deal with all of our opponent's stuff, play a couple copies in the late game, it can take over the game all by itself with the tokens. We also have Dire Fleet Daredevil, which is only a 2 of, but is actually surprisingly good in our current format. A lot of decks are putting stuff in the graveyard. The control decks, Is It Drake decks, even the Golgari decks. So most decks are getting spells in the graveyard, and then Dire Fleet Daredevil, kind of like the reverse Snapcaster Mage, working from our opponent's graveyard instead of our graveyard. So comes down, works like graveyard hate, can also steal some powerful spells, card draw spells, spells with jumpstart from the graveyard for value. So those are our main creatures. Our other finisher is Karn, Scion of Urza, which generates card advantage in the mid game, and then in the late game, we go into Karn Struck token mode. Just make a bunch of really massive tokens with the -2 ability to close out the game, and it works really well with some of our support cards. We have Azur's Gateway and Treasure Map in the 2-drop slot to filter through our deck, but eventually put a bunch of artifacts on the battlefield for Karn. Like a flip Treasure Map is 3 artifacts on the battlefield, plus Azur's Gateway can make a ton of mana if it flips. The Immortal Sun, really powerful, a little bit awkward because it locks down Planeswalkers, and we do have the Karn, so not exactly a combo, but still, it is a very powerful card, shutting down Veraskas and Teferis from our opponent's deck, and I guess in the right matchup, where we're going to lose to our opponent's Planeswalkers, it's probably worth shutting down our own Karn, if it means we're shutting down like multiple Vivian Reeds and Teferis and Veraskas from our opponent's deck. But with all of these artifacts, it makes Karn very scary. Just ticking down twice is going to make like 2 5/5s or 6 6s, which is a pretty good way to close out the game in conjunction with all of our removal. Our other finisher is Banefire. So Banefire just throws a ton of damage at our opponent's face, assuming we can chip in some damage with our History of Benalia tokens, or maybe throw some Siege Gang Commander goblins at our opponent's face. Hopefully we get our opponent low enough that in the late game we just spend like all of our mana, 10 mana, 11 mana, send a bunch of damage uncounterably at our opponent's face to close out the game. And that doesn't even include the potential for flipping an Azur's Gateway, which, if we flip Azur's Gateway, probably just lethal. We can probably cast a 20 damage Banefire with the help of the Azur's Gateway flipping. So that's kind of our last finisher, plus it's some early game removal if we need it to. Like, you pay 3 mana, deal 2 damage to something, a way to deal with creatures. Thankfully, we have a ton of ways to slow down the game. This deck is overloaded with Wrath effects, 3 Deafening Clarions, 2 Settle the Wreckage, 1 Cleansing Nova, 2 Starve Extinction, so we basically have ways to sweep the board again and again and again and again. So we're just keeping everything under control, and then eventually we're making those big Construct tokens, or a bunch of tokens with Siege Gang Commander. Deafening Clarion can also give our team lifelink, kind of a backup plan, but if we make a couple of big Constructs, gaining 12 life or something from an attack can be a way to swing the race against aggro. Star of Extinction also gets rid of annoying lands, like Search for Escanto once it flips. Plus, unlike our other Wraths, it hits Planeswalkers as well, so another way to deal with all those annoying Planeswalkers our opponent might be playing. As far as removal, Shiv and Fire, Lava Coil, Seal Away, tons of ways to deal with creatures in the early game. Seal Away, Lava Coil, kind of nice because they're a permanent answer. Seal Away gets rid of a Danto Vanguard, for example. Lava Coil, Rekindling Phoenix. We also have 3 copies of Pirate's Pillage, which is kind of our card draw engine. It doesn't really generate card advantage because we have to discard a card, so we're basically trading 2 cards for 2 new cards, but the 2 treasure tokens is really nice. With Pirate's Pillage, on turn 4, we get those 2 treasures. That allows us to untap on turn 5 and cast something like Star of Extinction for 7 mana. Plus, we can just leave those treasures along with our treasure map tokens on the battlefield and eventually power up that huge Banefire to win the game, and the treasures help power up our Construct tokens to make them even bigger threats. As far as the mana base, pretty simple. A ton of Boros dual lands, 2 Archivaraska for more card draw, some basic lands. As far as the sideboard, Adanto Vanguard, awesome sideboard option. Our opponent probably going to take out most of their targeted removal, at least their Seal Aways, Moment of Craving, stuff that actually deals with the Adanto Vanguard. So we can sideboard an entire playset and just go aggro indestructible beatdown. Lyra, really good against aggro decks, clogs up the air well against decks like Is It Drakes as well. So another powerful sideboard creature. We get some more creatures, another Deafening Clarion, another Star of Extinction, a ton more removal, Banefire for control, Lava Coil for recursive threats, Seal Away, Adanto Vanguard, Ixalan's Binding is a catch-all, Invoke the Divine to deal with things like Experimental Frenzy, and that is Boros Control for Standard. And that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.